All right, so today we are talking about multiplying and dividing fractions and mixed numbers. And the best part about multiplying and dividing fractions and mixed numbers is that we do not find a common denominator, okay? This is one of your notes in your note packet. No common denominator for multiplying and dividing. The next thing we have to remember is that if we do have mixed numbers, now is the time where we have to change them into improper fractions. That's the way it has to be for multiplying and dividing. It's a little bit too complicated if we try to leave them in mixed number form. And our third note is that we're going to use the complex fraction for division. And I think you guys were really good at that. We should hopefully remember it. So I have very high expectations for this problem, this lesson. So, first thing I want to remind you of is our Illuminati symbol. This is to help us remember the sign rules for multiplying and dividing. So remember, a negative times a negative gets us a positive answer. A positive divided by a negative gets us a negative answer. And we can keep using that symbol to help us refresh. The first thing I like to do when I'm doing these problems, I like to figure out the sign of my answer right away. I don't want to have any question, any doubt. I don't want to forget it. So the first thing I'm going to do, this is number 2 from your note packet. 5 1/4 times negative 6/7. This is a positive times a negative. Positive times a negative gets me a negative answer. So right over here, I'm going to set myself up with a negative sign to start. Now the next thing I have to do, this is multiplication, so I have to change I have to change my mixed number into an improper fraction. 4 times 5 is 20, plus 1 is 21. Keep the same denominator. Now when I bring down my 6/7, I can bring down the negative, or I can skip it because I've already put my negative sign in my answer. I'm going to let that be your choice. Before I multiply, remember the best thing about multiplication, besides the fact that we don't need a common denominator, is that we can simplify. So let's take a look. On the diagonal here, we've got 4 and 6. What can I divide out of both of those numbers? I can divide a 2 out of both of those numbers. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now I can look at the other diagonal. I've got 21 and 7. What can I divide out of both of those numbers? I can divide 7 out of both of those numbers. 21 divided by 7 is 3. 7 divided by 7 is 1. Now all I have to do is multiply straight across. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 1 is 2. Well, I'm not happy with an improper fraction for my final answer. So I want to drop my 9 into the house and divide. 2 goes into 9 4 whole times. 4 times 2 is 8. When I do my subtraction, I get a remainder of 1. That 1 becomes my numerator, and the 2 stays the denominator. Now all I have to do is remember to put my final answer up here where I started it, negative 4 and 1/2. I like to handle the sign first because I feel like then I won't forget to put my sign in my final answer. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I see when it comes to this math. Let's look at another one together. This one's the same type of problem, number 3. Negative 4 and 4/5 times negative 9 and 1/6. I've got a negative times a negative, so I'm going to put a plus sign over here in my final answer. You can choose to put a little positive sign there, or you could just leave it blank. That's up to you. Now the next thing I have to do is change both of my mixed numbers into improper fractions. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 4 is 24 fifths. 6 times 9 is 54, plus 1 is 55 sixths. I can already see this one's going to be a good one for simplifying. So I'm going to start here. 5 and 55. I can divide a 5 out of both of those. 55 divided by 5 is 11. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Now I look at the other diagonal. I can divide a 6 out of both of those. 24 divided by 6 is 4. 6 divided by 6 is 1. Now I just have to multiply straight across. 4 times 11 is 44. 1 times 1 is 1. And that simplifies to 44. Be sure to clean up that 1 in the denominator. My final answer is positive 44. Who would have thought, right? Next question I want to look at is a division question. Again, we've got our triangle here just to remind you that the rules are the same. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. So you can use that to help you out. I'm looking at number 3 from your notes right now. Number 3, a negative divided by a negative is going to get me a positive answer. So I'll set up a little plus sign there for my final answer. I am going to turn these into improper fractions right away. 3 times 6 is 18, plus 2 is 20 over 3. My 2 becomes 2 over 1. And that's how I set up my complex fraction. Again, you can bring your negatives into the complex fraction. You don't have to. I like to just leave them go because I've already put my sign in my answer. So, outers first, 20 times 1 is 20. Inners come next, 3 times 2 is 6. 20 over 6 is my improper fraction, and I want to change that to a mixed number. So I'm going to drop the 20 into the house. 6 goes into 20 3 whole times. 20 minus 18 is 2, so that's my remainder. 2 goes in the numerator, 6 goes in the denominator. Now I can see that my final answer still isn't quite ready yet because I can divide a 2 out of my numerator and denominator to simplify that to 3 1/3. So my final answer is positive 3 1/3. Last problem I want to look at with you is number 16. This is a word problem. I don't remember the exact wording of the problem, but the general idea is that somebody has 55.5 ounces of vegetables, and they're going to make a whole bunch of salads with these veggies, and each salad is going to have 4 5/8 ounces of salad in it. So we're asked to figure out how many people can we feed if this is how much salad we have and this is how much we put in each salad. So this is a division problem. We're trying to figure out how many of this portion size we can pull out of our total amount. So this is a job for some division. We're going to divide our salad amount by how much salad we're putting in each portion. So the first step is to make my mixed numbers improper fractions. 2 times 55 is 110, plus 1 is 111 over 2. I'm going to divide that by 8 times 4 is 32, plus 5 is 37 eighths. And there's my division problem. This is a positive divided by a positive, so I know I'm going to get a positive answer. So, not a real pretty one here. 111 times 8 is 888. 2 times 37 is 74. We can see that's an improper fraction, and we want to turn that into a mixed number. So we drop the 888 into the house, and we divide. 74 does not go into 8. 74 does go into 88 one time. And we subtract. We get 14 as our remainder. Bring down the 8. 74 goes into 148 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 7 is 14. So we can tell that there are 12 people in the family, because because each person's going to eat one of those salads. Okay, so this is your really fast review of multiplication and division. Here is your assignment for tonight. I want you to do questions 1, 4, and 6 on page 3. Some of these are going to show up in the Google form. Same with page 4, you're going to do 8, 10, 15, 17. Now 17 is going to piggyback off of our answer that we just got for question number 16. That was this one right here. So you're going to use this question, this answer that we got to help you with number 17. So once you complete those questions, you're going to do the Google form. Like I said, some of the questions will show up from the Google form, so you're not doing anything twice. If you have any questions, please make sure to make a note of it in the Google form, and we'll talk about this tomorrow.